Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this next episode of Ambitious Broker. Today, we've got a couple, Holly Hatch and Chris Johnson, who are high-producing people from the San Fernando Valley, Malibu, Agora area of California. And we asked them if they would come and join us today and share some of their philosophy and attitude about the use of video and social media. These people have mastered this, and they've done some amazing stuff, and we'll share some of those clips with you as part of the Ambitious Broker show today. But I encourage you to listen to the show today, listen to the story and the journey that these people have taken. A wonderful couple and some really creative ideas, and it's really paid off well for them, and I hope you can take something from this that will help you in your business. So sit back, enjoy, and let me know what you think. Take care. So I would like to say hi to you, Chris and Holly. Hello. And thank you for joining me here on Ambitious Broker. And I had you here because you are truly ambitious people. I see that. And so let's take a couple seconds and talk about background a little bit. We were just talking earlier, you were from Danville, Bay Area in general, and you did some real estate up there. You came down here.
Yep.
And how did you pick the company you went to work for?
Oh, that's a really good question. I came from a very small company up in the Bay Area after being with Coldwell Banker for a long time. And I saw the Keller Williams sign on the side of the freeway because it's on the side of the building, and just called them first. It had been a really long time since I'd had to call and, kind of shop around where I wanted to hang my license. But I knew that I needed to hang it quickly because I had, obviously shifted my whole life to Los Angeles, and I didn't even call anybody else. I went in and just really liked the atmosphere, and that was it.
Yes, they have a good atmosphere.
They do, or did.
They can. They can have a good atmosphere.
At the time, it was nice, and I was going through a lot at the time. So for me, it just felt like the right place. I didn't feel like I needed to shop for anything else.
And then you came down here.
That was here. That was when we came down here.
Oh, you came down here and started with KW here.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I got it.
And then I was very, very busy in the town I came from, which was South Bay, and then moved down here. And it was a very, very difficult transition for me because I had my clientele.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very, very referral based and very involved in the community. So for me to have to come to an area where I didn't know a soul.
Right.
And have all of the knowledge that I needed at the time, and not be able
product knowledge.
Yeah,
specific to the community.
Right. I knew how to show property. I knew how to, write a listing, get a listing, sell a listing, work with buyers. But I just did not know anybody.
Did you have the same productivity level up there as you did down here?
I would say it's completely different now.
Different.
Yeah.
Just bigger properties or something.
Not
Although Danville has some gigantic.
Well, I wasn't selling in Danville. I was selling in the town of Hollister, but I was selling more spec homes and, again, just regular homes. But here it's completely different. Got it.
We're going to get back to that because that transition is an interesting one.
It's
I know it is. I've seen people go through it.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy who, you could throw a baseball and hit my high school that I graduated from 50 years ago.
Right.
So, I often think about, when you get roots planted real fast, like I did, here, and all of a sudden everything in my world is here. You can't move.
No.
So to move, it's pretty interesting. Yeah. You came from a financial background.
Yeah. I was born here, actually. So I've been here all my life. And when I was young, I happened into a financial career. Somebody asked me to stuff some envelopes after I sold cell phones for a little bit. And it turned into a pretty big career for a long time. I was in it for over 20 years, got to C-level, worked my absolute ass off doing it.
Right.
And never liked it.
Never liked it.
Yeah. I liked real estate since the 80s. And so I kind of played around in the 90s with an old relationship and learned a lot from that. But
that's a real structured business too.
Very structured.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't for me. I'm more of an unstructured person, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of ironic in business because you don't do well in this business if you don't have some structure.
Yeah.
It could just look different.
Yeah. Well, I look different. Notice the hat. And actually, I just I really like being myself, and getting into this was allowed me to be. I didn't have to dress up like everyone else. I didn't have to show up like everybody else. I could do it my way,
Right.
and really show my character. And that's what real estate allowed me to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting transition. So you've been in real estate for, I think, 12 years. 15?
Yeah, I've been licensed that long. Wasn't very
Yeah.
focused. I was consulting in finance for some time, and then I met a woman who put some focus on me.
Anybody we know?
Let's go right here.
So you guys are engaged.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
So, okay. In spite of working together, you've decided to be married.
Yeah.
That's a good way to destroy a good relationship.
It's not easy. I have to say, we got through the pandemic together, working 24/7,
Yeah.
and every day it's a challenge, and every day it's, I think, awesome. So
Yeah.
I love it.
So let's get back now to your transition.
Yeah.
Because you started over.
Yeah.
And that's after 10 years in the business, roughly, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I was I had started in 2000. I moved in, I was 12, almost 13 years in the business. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
13 years. And this business is all about people that you know.
Yep.
I tell, one of the coaching things I do is basically say, rule number one, your income is dependent upon how many people know you, like, and trust you.
Absolutely.
And so once you've built that, and then you just up and move, that's an amazing transition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing transition.
Yeah.
And then you came down here, and now you have the knowledge of how the mechanics of the business, but you don't have the people.
I was actually just saying this to one of the agents on our team yesterday, because I can't even remember why I brought it up, but I said it was so difficult when I first came here, because it was like having all of the knowledge, but nobody knowing who you are, and not even just clientele, but other agents. That rapport with other agents, knowing other agents, having the inside scoop on what's going on, that is so vital to the business, that I had to not only prove myself to the community, but I had to prove myself to other agents.
Yeah.
And I was a top producer, and at the time my ex-husband was taken from us. He was arrested, and I had to find a way to make a living for my kids. And I thought about, well, I'm going to do something else. And after a day of going on, all the websites and trying to find a job, I go, Holly, what are you doing? All you know is real estate. That's it. So
you actually considered leaving the whole industry.
I did. I had my license hung there, but I was just going through a lot. And so I thought, gosh, I have to make money. I have to make it quick. So I said, that's all I know. I know to do. So the thought was, let me go to Keller Williams. Let me go to the manager and ask him if anybody needs an assistant. So I went from a top producer all the way down to back to basically filing papers and being a TC. And, basically from that point, proving myself. And the nice thing is that he was so kind, and he was so supportive of knowing that I basically knew what I was doing, but just needed to get my sea legs back. You know what I mean? So,
sure.
So as I'm working for him, I'm also working on myself, and I'm working on my confidence level, and I'm working on making myself known in the community. So I would volunteer. My son played football. My daughter played basketball. I was volunteering. My face was in the community, in the public every single day, because that's all I had. I had no money. So I needed to do things differently. And I also used Instagram as my platform. Because
so you started, was that your first social media exposure? Was it down here?
Yep.
Okay, let's go back to Hollister.
Yeah.
And you started building your business up there. And what was that about? How did you do that? Because right now, we're going to be talking a lot about your video stuff, because I think what you do is remarkable stuff. And I think today, it's the greatest tool in the world. And for people to not use it is insane.
Absolutely, yes.
And even though we're going to talk about it, they still aren't going to do it, most of them. But we're going to inspire somebody, a single person, and you will have done, God will reward you for your goodness, So, but going back there, you didn't have that as a tool. So were you community involved then? Or were you door knocking? You cold calling?
I would never. Okay, so that's the thing about me. It's funny. I have never door knocked. I did one time, and that was here when I was first starting out here.
Right.
And I hated it, and I went home. And I've never cold called. But back in the day, we had things like floor time. So I would take everybody's floor time. I treated my career, I started at 19. I came straight from a 9 to 5 job, 8 to 5 job. So I treated real estate the same way.
Right.
I got there in the morning. I took all of the calls that I could. I took people's business. I went and I followed everybody around. I did what everyone else was doing. I studied the market. But I was also very involved in theater and church and, karate and ballet and everything I started having kids right away. So I really just immersed myself in everything,
They do.
that they do. Yeah. And that really was the base of I never did things other than.
I told you that part of this is to touch some newer agent maybe, or someone who's trying to kick up to another level. And everybody that I've talked to, I had one a few weeks ago from a lady in Washington who's 100 transactions a year. Mentioned Stephanie Vitaka to you. You may know who Stephanie is.
Yeah.
She's been here, sit in your chair, and Chris Williams and all these people there's a common thread amongst all of them, and that is, I took it like a job.
Yes.
I showed up.
Yep.
I did everything. I wasn't too big and too fancy to
No.
take the smallest job and go
Yeah.
at it.
That's one of our big.
It's so important. Since we built a team, we became office people, and we're literally the only people in any office we go to. And when we leave, the place goes cold because we
Right.
have so many. We're literally the 5, 6, 7 people there, while 1 or 2 settle in here and there.
Right.
And I always walk in really loud and say good morning to the one guy sitting there, as if it's, hey, we only. There's not many.
Me and
go
the one guy in the
Yeah.
6,000 square foot office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about showing up. It's about
It's all about showing up.
Yeah,
That's
it really
interesting
is.
to say that though.
So, okay, so you're up there and you're not knocking on doors, but you're getting socially involved. And that was one of my questions actually in here is you do have a sense of community here from what I picked up on
Yeah.
your videos and stuff, but that was kind of where you were coming from there. So that was a transition skill. I'm going to come down here and apply
Yeah.
this here.
Exactly.
And I just got to start meeting people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was where I'm comfortable. That's like my strength. And so I had to just work with it. Yeah. I remember the manager at the time when I was hired at Keller Williams went there, she gave me the same advice. And I said, okay, well, I just have to continue doing what I'm doing. And then also, continue to layer. So we started farming, which I had never done before.
And farming, you were mailing probably. Farming.
No, we started actually when Chris and I got together, we moved into a house because I was in an apartment with the kids before. We moved into a house. We said, let's start farming this community. We were door knocking. We were holding events.
We were, or Chris was?
We.
Oh, you both were.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when
Chris drug you out.
I don't consider
No,
that
we
door knocking
we're
because
pretty
it's not
equal in
cold.
our effort. I mean, we're down and dirty. I mean, we got some of our biggest clients from walking dogs, and really just meeting great people.
Right.
And I tell our team, honestly, get a dog, walk the neighborhood. Because the thing is, you're going to talk to other people with dogs. You're going to talk to neighbors that are walking. The people that are walking are the community people, right? And
50 years I've been doing that. I've never told anyone get a dog. This is a whole new coaching point.
Well, we have a few we can lease out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so you start door knocking. And it's around where you live.
Yeah, which I'm sorry, I should say I door knock, but it's not the same thing. It's more because we know the people. I consider that more of a warm, greeting instead of a hey, do you want to?
We always had something to give. It wasn't like we walked and said, hi, we're the local realtor.
Right.
You're nobody.
Right.
So we always had an event, an open house, something to actually hand them and say that we're special because we're offering you something.
Yeah, that was one thing that popped in my brain when you were talking about coming down here and just starting to meet people.
Mm-hmm.
You can meet people and they never know you're in real estate.
Exactly.
So how did you engage that? By the way,
that's a great question.
I am in the business.
Well, I started before I met Chris, started branding myself with my name, which is HH Sells or Holly Hatch Sells. And I really kind of leaned into that and I started basically advertising at the schools. So when I would make a check, I would take a little bit to the side and say, okay, I'm going to sponsor the team. I'm going to do this. And then we got to the point that we were basically sponsoring both of our kids' teams because we had 2 kids at the time, one in basketball,
Football,
one in football.
basketball.
We now, and it's actually been up there 3 years,
think
it'll
so.
probably get changed this year at Calabasas High, that it's the banner of the Snack Shack, and it has our full name and who we are. We did sweatshirts. We really actually reinvested in our business
Right.
by branding ourselves
Right.
Yeah.
in that way. So people were walking around, all over the place wearing Holly and Chris sweatshirts.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let them tell you.
Exactly.
Let them tell them
little
about you.
soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, social media wise
Yeah.
as well.
It's interesting. We had a lady here that we interviewed from Washington. She's about 100 transactions a year lady, and she did what you did. She was in business in San Diego, went to Washington, and had to start from scratch there. And she told almost the same story. I could run the videos side by side about
Amazing.
having to get there and having to just get engaged, and
Yeah.
that's what people don't do. I don't know why it is. It seems to. It's difficult, I guess. Okay, so you get involved and you start doing your advertising a little bit. Gary Keller's got something that's an interesting statement. I think a good one. Some things I like about Gary and other things I don't. But in any event, he's got a great line, and is that how's it go exactly? It's lead with revenue. It's a great line. So, because like you said, you're spending money now. I know you
Yep.
are.
Oh yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
spending money like you couldn't spend before.
I made a video about that. Don't expect to be a successful realtor if you're not going to be able to spend money, because it's expensive.
Right. Well, Paige Schulte, the Washington lady, is probably spending $150,000 a year or more in promotions.
Yeah.
So she spent a lot of money. But she's,
But it's working.
she's making $1.5 million. So it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not too bad. So you had to say, well, I don't have any money. And since I don't have money, I've got to have put me out there.
Yep.
And then the money was, once you started spending a little bit of money, you made a little money, spend a little bit, exactly what, Gary Keller says to do. Make the money first, then spend it. Don't get yourself in a big hole.
Mm-hmm.
So you started doing that, and you did it in ways that you could have that great exposure. You had hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Used to be thousands of people go to high school games. Now it's hundreds that come.
Yep.
Yeah.
But still, and then getting engaged socially.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a huge game changer.
And did he help or hurt that when you drug him into the program?
He loves to tell the story that when I told him he was going to start doing video, he was like, "No way."
Yeah. I wasn't getting in front of a camera. It wasn't
I was
for
already
me.
doing it. But
Yeah. And I said, no way.
And you were doing
it's-
Instagram.
Yeah, I was just
Well,
literally, as I was just telling somebody the other
talking
day,
in
I
the
was
car.
literally in the car, and I would just think of
Yeah.
something. Oh, I should talk about this, or hey, this is what's going on with rates, or this is what's going on. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? I would just 5 seconds, 10 seconds,
Yeah.
little quick videos.
Right.
Yeah.
You were very good at it.
Thank
And
you.
you just picked it up from the beginning. You just like instinctive.
I mean, it could possibly be my theater background.
Oh,
but
there you go. Okay.
But my kids were also in acting when we first moved down here, which is why we came here. And so,
Well, no, if we say it's because of your theater background, that'll chase all the agents away.
Right.
No theater background. They'll say,
well,
there's a reason she can do it and I can't.
well, I will tell you this. I will tell you that there's for me personally, there was a difference between me videoing myself in my car and fast forward to the day that we decided to hire a professional. And then all of a sudden there's a camera staring at you. They're very different.
Whereas I'm the opposite. I can't get in a car and do it,
Do
but
that.
I can put these, our professional photographer in front of us,
Yeah.
and I
I'm
can
like you.
do all these shows.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I can sit down, do these
Yeah.
cameras, do whatever.
Yeah.
But to do this, Phil, there's a little like ego thing or something. It's like,
We've spoken on panels about that, and I've talked about how, to people, a bunch of people sitting out there who can't do it, right? Because they're very embarrassed, they're shy,
right.
and I'm no different. And I literally say that when we started, my kids called it cringe. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. They were embarrassed. And
Yeah.
today they're looking at our stuff and saying, wow, it's like a commercial, the things you guys are doing. Like, it's so exciting. They love it
I got that.
because they know me
Yeah.
as that. And
Yeah.
so the hardest thing is this: I'm known as a content creator, yet I can't create my own content. And I've been thinking about how to do it and get
Right.
into my personal brand, but which I don't necessarily need. But I mean, I kind of feel left out because she's so good at it.
Yeah. Well, you both were good. I
Yeah.
think, and I think you've complimented yourselves really well.
Yeah.
In it, for what it's worth to you, my opinion. But
Thank you.
yeah, I see like I've had people talk about, I don't want to say, and I will say, go watch some of these videos. You don't have to worry about what to say.
Right.
Just start saying something, and it'll work itself out.
There's
right?
people I look up to, obviously, that like just can get on a live and just talk. So there's so many levels to it. There's so many things you can do that are just so easy and free.
And it doesn't matter what you say, honestly. People don't care. It doesn't matter what your hair looks like. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. We were training. Well, yeah, to a point. But we were sharing with our team one day. We had an exercise where everyone was going to shoot something and come back and share it. And I went out because I had to set an example. And I'm like, the guy who can't do it.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, how you doing? This is Holly and Chris, and we're starting a team. And 5, 10 times.
Start over. Yeah.
Then I started. Oh, and the rates are great. Damn. So I went, hey, this is Chris. Holly hates this beard. Do you think I should shave it off? and I went in and I didn't want to share it, but I ended up sharing it with them and I didn't post it. But that's the kind of stuff that people want to see.
I got to tell you, that's probably the biggest surprise to me in all this is that I would have said, just instinctively, I would have said, come on, give me a little meat on the bones here. And I think I'm wrong about that. I mean, I know initially, now that I've had years to watch this and see, it's because the truth of the matter is, I think I was telling you, but my rule is you sell credibility and you manage information. That's your job. That's the two things you do. You sell credibility,
like
and the idea of getting to know you. It's like when I door knocked because I looked 12, and seriously, and I sounded 10, and I was like, on the phone, you're just a punk.
Yeah.
But in front of someone, I could actually be animated. They could get a sense of who I am. And that is where you win people over. Yeah. And so that's what this video does. And that's what, should I shave my beard or not? I've come to believe that's how I get to know you.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. It's creating a tribe of people that you want to work with.
And it's interesting when we talk about real estate, we don't get all that many follows or likes or anything like that. But the second that we come together and do something special, like as a couple, like I could just throw my head over her shoulder when she's saying something and people are like, oh, and they see that. And it's amazing. The couple thing has been helpful.
That's our strength for sure, is that we have like that chemistry.
Have you noticed you get a little boost when you do it together?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
More I get, because we heavily focus on my Instagram. We have a team of like Holly and Chris Instagram. Chris has his own Instagram, but he doesn't post his operations, so he has other things to do.
Yeah.
But that I kind of manage the social media. But yeah, I look at the algorithms. I can see when people like things, more.
Right.
And it's always like, I'm like, oh, you're going to need to post another video because you need to get in the video with me because that's what people like.
Or happen in, when she's doing something and just do something stupid,
Yeah.
People just love it. And every time something comes up about marriage or relationship, it's like almost the most important. It's almost more important than real estate.
Yeah.
But I think also people tell us that they love the fact that we can work together, and that is like inspiring. So I think that's probably mostly why it's like, people can work together and not each other.
My gut feeling tells me that you two have gotten very comfortable with very specific roles. Am I right?
You're good.
It's interesting because we were always told to put ourselves in roles and we could never do it. But it just kind of naturally fell into a place where we know what we're doing.
Yeah, our coach like about a year ago, he's like, you guys really need to figure out what your roles are. And we're like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
But you have to structure it that way.
Yeah. Now it's so funny because now, like a year later, it's like, oh yeah, very, very clear.
And did that evolve, or did you specifically say, you shut up now, and I get to talk?
Well, it evolved. It evolved due to our history. I mean, I'm a financial operations guy.
Yeah.
So I'm an ops guy. So I tend to want to build the business in a very organized way, in a way that we're offering procedures and systems and things like that.
Right.
And she's just incredible on social media and face-to-face. And so I feel like I'm second when it comes to face-to-face stuff.
Well, when I met Chris, I saw that he wasn't like fully engaged in real estate. And we met at Keller Williams actually.
Yeah.
But I saw like his strengths and I go, wow, that'd be so amazing if I had somebody that could do that with me.
Right.
That way I don't have to worry about that. I can say, hey, I just went and showed these properties and they want to write an offer on this one. Can you write it? Okay, next. Now I'm going to move to this. Okay, we've got this listing, he comes to me, we do work together.
Yeah.
But then we separate to get that job done, meaning like if it's a listing or an escrow or whatever. So
so you're equal in the outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found that in fact, I was talking to a guy who owned a company just probably 2 weeks ago. We were talking about this issue exactly. And that is because I got to a point with my company where I just refused for people to be partners. Mm-hmm. And I said, if you're going to be a partner, you're going to sit down, you're going to make a contract, because they all end. Yeah. They all end. Yeah. And they usually end up, but they start because people say, well, you have something I don't have and I have something you don't have. You guys kind of didn't start like that, really. I mean, it sounded, you saw a little bit of something in him that maybe you were missing, well,
there's the love factor too. So there was also those missing pieces that each other needed. So I think that, I don't know, it worked out really well. I was at a point in my career when I met Chris where I was like, I'm ready to like break free from the partnership I was in and really just be on my own, because I'm kind of like, I'm very like anxious and I'm like kind of a driver. And so I was like, listen, I got things I want to do. I'm branding myself. I'm doing these things. And so as I'm breaking off and then switching over to the agency at the time, that's when Chris and I got together. And I was like, get over here. Let's go.
I branded us way earlier, though.
You did.
I got the domain name. And I'm like,
before I ask what branded means, I'm afraid of that. So, okay, we'll talk about branded and not the love life, okay? I know where you're at.
It was all about love.
It's all business. I just said it's all business.
I said it was all about love when I did it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true.
So, okay, so now you started dabbling in this video.
Yes.
Dabbling is kind of a way to put it, right? I mean,
No,
what do you think of my beard? That's a dabble, I think.
I didn't know, but that was 2 years after I was already doing it.
Oh, you were already into it, okay. So
way past that. Yeah. I mean, and also, as you know, like the video has just continued to evolve. So in the beginning, I was doing video, no one was doing it. So like it was Tom Ferry saying, get your face in front of the camera. And I'm like, okay, I'll get my face in front of the camera. I was like popping him, like putting his YouTube channel on and listening to him while I was getting ready in the morning to get all amped up to get, going. And so I just started doing that, and Keeping Current Matters reached out to me and was like, what are you doing and how are you doing this?
Right.
Can we pick your brain? And I was like, okay.
We got that from quite a bit. The agency did the same thing. We were marketing ourselves, and we were kind of not using them that well because we weren't like about their brand necessarily. We were about our brand.
Right.
And people were getting shut down for things they're doing. And meanmeanwhile, we get a call and like, how are you doing that?
Really?
Just like the editing and stuff like that.
They're kind of good at that. I mean, as a company.
Not at the time. Like, not at the time.
It was early.
Again, nobody was really doing video. Like, I had people really encouraging me to do it. And so I was doing it. And then when Chris started, still you're not doing it. But what I did, I think what the change is I really wanted to get creative. And so that's when we decided that we wanted to be really hyper local. And so we started interviewing videographers and said, hey, we want to make some local videos that we can, that can Google, like come up on Google search and, be that person that when somebody says, what's it like to live in Calabasas, they're going to find our video, kind of thing. And so that's when we made the switch to professional
photography and production.
The videography. Yeah. We hired a videographer and we worked with him regularly. We had a schedule. So that's when that started.
So, you use the term, which is interesting, hyper local.
Yeah.
And I do some work occasionally with a company on the East Coast. And one of the things that he brought to me was this idea that, Roger, I remember when you guys started, you were like really, really focused on farming and door knocking, very, very, and he goes, you were really, really hyper local.
Yes.
And I'm even more a big believer of that today because everyone, the MLS has spread people out. Yeah. They're going to Long Beach to do deals. Right. And if you start by being credible and managing information, it's hard to manage information about all of Southern California.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look really specialized on Long Beach properties when you're never there. So you found a big value in that hyperlocal?
Yeah, I mean that's really where, we were just following everything that we had, been learning with coaching, and then we decided, oh my gosh, let's have fun with some of our listing videos. And so,
So I'd wake up with dumb ideas, and
yeah, you're constantly having to be creative. When you
Yes.
choose to do it, when we hired the videographer, I remember we looked at each other, we're like, oh my gosh, this is such a big financial thing for us. But we said, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all in, and we're going to do it, and we have to be consistent. We can't stop.
Right.
Because what happened along the way is people started getting used to it, and they're like, and then we're like, well, we knew from the beginning we'd have to go all in and
Yeah.
never stop.
you can't
And
quit.
now
It goes
it's like,
away.
yeah.
What made you feel like this is working, and since it's working, I'm willing to spend the extra money to kick it up to another level?
That was a slow burn, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think that, well, anytime you're branding anything, postcards, if you're farming, the first postcard gets thrown away. The 10th postcard is actually looked at. The 20th is posted on the refrigerator. So you have to get to that time. So
Yep.
each video fed on the next. And I just felt as if, I feel as if you have to do it consistently. Everything's consistency, right? But until you start doing it over a year or longer, it doesn't necessarily pay off. It does get its traction, and then sooner or later people are going, oh wait, you're that video person. We've been recognized in some weird places. It's kind of neat.
like at ASU at Family Weekend.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
So I think that, another avenue to that really is just it just made sense for us.
Mhm.
It really made sense for us, and it really has
But you
become
start getting
us
feedback.
all
you
the
know?
time.
Yeah.
Feedback.
Literally every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, when's the next one coming out? When's this? Like, even when we did a transition from the agency to Coldwell, people are like, "You got to do a Holly and Chris video for this."
Right. Now it's
About
like,
the transition.
Yeah.
yeah, we did. You'll have to see it.
And you did.
Yeah. It was
Oh.
pretty wild.
I'll tell you what I loved. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to steal some of it and put it into this video.
Please.
Yeah,
I want
sure,
people to
of
see
course.
this.
Please.
Which
Uh,
one?
the one where you're in your Jeep
That's
and you're bouncing through.
Well, that's it. That's the transition.
It is. That's the transition.
Yeah, because we kind of played on the agency red and
Oh,
fancy,
the
and that
blend.
we're very authentic because we're kind of authentic people. Like,
I get it.
and that's kind of why we go on our own path.
We're just down to earth.
basically.
Okay, I love that though.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
great.
It's
And then after going through the desert and whatever, the dirt, then you pull up in front of the house.
Yeah.
Did you guys dig that up? Is this a Scott
Yeah.
deal?
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, okay. So Scott produced it with my son.
Yeah.
And they had such a blast.
And his brother
it was
shot it.
amazing. And his brother shot it. He
But
came
we
from
wrote it.
Palm
We
Springs.
kinda planned
My
it
son
ourselves.
came in from Arizona.
Okay.
It was a collaborative
Mhm.
idea, but I think the end of that where again, we're known for our video, right? So
Yeah.
Scott said to us, he's like, well, you're going to have to do a video about this. And we invested a lot of money into that video. So it was I think that's probably the most we've ever spent on a video.
on one video.
Yeah. But we're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. We have to do it.
Well, I
So-
mean, technically, because I've done some of that outside of this kind of thing before, but just having the camera to follow. I mean, just technically,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah. And, different areas and scenes and
Yeah.
whatever. But we've had so much fun making videos. I think.
I'm going to show some of the dirt up until you guys put your leg out of the
Fancy,
car. Not yours so much. Yours is a better leg, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And then you pulled back to the nice house. It was
Mhm.
really, really well done.
Yeah.
Thank
really
you.
well.
I really love that video.
So,
Very proud of
so
it.
what does a video production team look like? What does that consist of?
So we started out with my daughter actually writing our scripts. And then we, at the same time, hired that videographer that we used for, I think, maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah. One
So
guy.
basically, I have two of my kids write our scripts. And so what's nice about that is, I don't know if you've seen our series Flipping It with Holly and Chris. That's our reality series.
Yeah, I saw one when he was redoing the kitchen.
Yeah.
I think in one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a series we did, and actually we did 2 seasons of it, and then we never finished. Sorry. But my daughter wrote those, and I think the beauty of her writing them was that she knows us. And this was reality. We were literally fixing our house.
Right.
And so that really was more of like a personal thing that really made sense. And then like for all the creative like storylines and stuff like that, our son writes them.
Yeah.
He's writing one right now for us currently for one of our new listings.
Now, he's your ASU guy?
Well, both of those are those
Both
two are
of
at
them.
ASU, and then one is right here next door at CSUN.
And then I get in trouble for bringing up dumb stuff during it. Like he
Chris
puts these
always tries
beautiful
to
strips, and I'm like, oh, how about this? And I get in so much trouble.
Yeah, my son's like, that's not how I planned it.
Come with some
But
pretty good ideas.
that is the authenticity.
Yeah.
That's a reflection of your personality.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to let it out, right?
Right,
You can't be all, I see people that'll do it and they'll get all, get very, controlled and very tense, and it's not you. And the whole purpose of doing that is to let people feel you.
Yeah, our very first video that we did that we kind of broke the mold. We were going to get the fancy car up the long driveway, right? And I woke up that morning.
That was our first listing video.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I dreamt it. And I woke up like, okay, I know exactly what we're going to do. And so this white Vet's beautifully going up this driveway, and I come jumping in front of the car, and you hear this, and the cameraman and her are like, what, Chris, what's going on?
I'm driving the Vet.
And I said, forget this car, this cliche car shit. Let's get to the house. And and it was like, that was the beginning
You kept that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I was really,
Yeah,
I like
sorry,
that.
No,
I like that one.
I think that I've seen that in a bunch of them, that the concept, let's stop this momentum of where you think it's going.
Yes.
Yeah, you've done that a bunch of times, I think.
The funny
it's
thing
very
is,
clever, I think.
Yeah. The funny thing is that basically what's happened with Chris saying, I don't want to do video, is we've created an animal.
Yes.
I'm the one selling it now.
All that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. But this is a perfect example of us. Like, I love doing this stuff. He's, he doesn't plan. He just shows up and then starts throwing his ideas out. But he's so much better about talking about what we do with other people. It's like I kind of shy away and go, okay, yeah, we did that.
With the appointment and such, I tend to love it so much what we do now, and I think it's such a great value add. I mean, we've had people call us and say, "Oh, I want a video on my house like that," and then we made the video and we kind of stepped over the line on that one, and we were really afraid, and they loved it. So we're starting to get.
So now I see you're using drones. I see, with some of the stuff you've done and more production.
Mm-hmm. Interior drone. That's that kid. That's a funny story. That kid was hitting us up constantly on one of our mall. We had the Menendez family house listed. This is a couple years ago, and he kept hitting me up, going in my DM saying, please check us out. I'm a drone racer. I want to fly my drone through your house." And I'm like, nobody can fly drones through houses. And I'm like, beat it, kid. We're busy.
So you pass on to me.
So finally, I say, fine.
Have you ever seen the drone racers?
I've seen it on TV.
I had not.
It's incredible.
He comes out.
They can fly through keyholes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were his first clients.
Yeah.
And he is extremely successful now.
Yeah.
Has drone racers all over the country that do his videos for him. And
great idea.
Olympics, San Diego Padres. He's working on the Dodgers now, like crazy
wow.
stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, he's amazing. So we tested out. We're like, well, let's try this. Like this could be kind of cool for a big house, like, an 8,000 square foot house. Why not? So we used him a lot, and we just actually used him for the listing we just put on the market a couple of days ago. And now it's like transitions between light and day. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. He's incredible improvement.
We'll try anything. We're kind of
because it's a new frontier.
Yes.
Why not dabble a little bit, right?
That's how we got our last listing. They literally said, I said, can I ask why you called us? And
was it the letter?
Yeah, we
didn't
sent the letter, and she said, no, actually, it's just as I've been watching your videos for a while, and there's just something you do a little bit differently. That's our biggest listing.
I think that's the message I'm hoping to get across to people that are going to take the time to watch this, and that is that, you had said it, consistency.
No.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Be you.
Yeah.
Be authentic with it.
Yeah.
Right? Start small.
Mm-hmm.
And let yourself get comfortable and work into this stuff and go from there, right?
Well, you said something that's really important too, about like people getting to know who you are. And that's how else can you have a platform of an endless amount of people that you could be reaching by just talking.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Build trust.
If you don't...
You become a character in their life.
Right. And I tell our agents that all the time, have the knowledge, really understand what you're saying.
Right.
And then get in front of people on video. You make one video, it takes you 10 minutes to make it, 10 minutes to post it, and now it's out there.
That's the one thing about this hyper-local thing too, is that, I remember when I first started in the business, it was, first of all, I was very intimidated to do anything.
Sure.
Nobody I knew could buy a house.
Right.
I couldn't afford a house. And now I'm talking these, sophisticated business people, and you guys are dealing with business managers, and you're dealing with high price stuff. But I remember thinking, I'm afraid to talk almost when I get in front of these people. So what I thought was this: if I can get into a neighborhood, and it'll take me about 6 weeks, and I can know every house and every detail in this neighborhood. And when I go to listing presentation, I can say things like the color of the carpet, the kind of wallpaper that was on the floors or on the walls, and if I got a competitor that comes in, good luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Good luck.
Because we've got the knowledge.
Because you can't beat this, and that's what you can't do when you're spread out all over the world. I think So
that's very, very true.
Now you guys, when I say stay local or hyper local, I mean you guys are more than hyper local, I think, because you're covering Calabasas out to Malibu, and it's a pretty large
here, all the way out
area.
here in Northridge.
Well, it's interesting. We just updated our list of the things we've done, and I looked at it, I'm like, wow, we've done like 85% Calabasas. We've always wanted to work in Malibu. We love Malibu. I grew up going to Malibu all my life, and for us to, we have a major project out there now we're very, very excited about.
Right.
And, but yeah, I feel like there's such small towns, and they're so close that it's hyper local.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Malibu and Calabasas are butting up against each other. Calabasas, Westlake Village, Agora, those are kind of our core. I mean, we've taken stuff elsewhere.
I think the way the market is now too is you do have to transition people from one to the another
all
area,
the time.
If they're contiguous to one another, like I said, it's still kind of hyper local.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so now you've evolved into having a team.
Yes.
But no, I'm going to back up. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish this video thing. See how structured I am. So I want to finish with your production team has a drone operator, and he's not a full-time person or anything like that. You bring them in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is it a different person who does just the regular camera work for you?
Yes. We have a new videographer we've been working with for about a year, and we are, he pretty much does everything. And something that we're doing now that we had never done before is more of like influencing. So we're in the same breath of hyperlocal. We're visiting like restaurants and businesses, and then, trying the food or talking about the business. And so now it's like where to eat and where to eat in Agora Hills, you know what I mean? So we're kind of working on that area of it too, like, constant evergreen stuff on your website. So all of those things are really important to us that when, again, people search, we're the people that come up. So we do a lot of that as well.
So also not a full-time person?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we've yet to get to the point where we have a photographer following us around all day long, which would be nice.
Yeah,
but it gets costly.
It's a reality show at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have a lot, and then we have my son who works for us part-time, full-time during the summer, and then
and he's the scriptwriter.
He's kind of producer. He's brilliant, actually. He could do anything.
Good at it.
Yeah, he could do a lot of it. But just it takes a team. It really does.
What do I do? How do I find, or a new person find a scriptwriter if I don't have a son?
Well, a lot of the videographers will do it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just that we have just grown accustomed to having him do them. And
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he knows you and the quirks of your personality and how to bring it out, probably.
And it's very interesting how they've written to our age as well, given that they started writing for us when they were like 15, and the scripts would come out, and I wouldn't sound 15.
Right.
So
that is interesting. Yeah.
It was. I always thought about that. They're really
Yeah.
good. They're so good.
Yeah.
So then, the next thing about this is have patience, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we first started, my company was very much into farming, and we literally would recruit someone to work a farm next to another person's farm. So we were very dense in terms of our,
Nice.
getting into
Smart.
the business. And you could say, what was the best company in the real estate? These people would say, well, that company, our company. And then you go over here and you ask them, what do you think about that company? They go, who's that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how dense we were.
Yeah,
very,
that's
very
amazing.
dense about it.
I love that.
But again, the whole thing was get your personality out there.
Yep.
And get out there and know the community, know the people, know all the local businesses and so forth. And so you're evolving into that piece right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to really like the Ambitious Broker show I think we're going to release it next week with Paige Schulte, the lady from Washington, because she's got a whole thing about this. Maybe even someone you want to call.
Yeah.
I'll give you a number when you're done, and you
Amazing.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We
she's
love
done it.
farming. We really encourage our agents to do it.
Yeah.
Because we do it too. We're not, it's not above us, or below us, but above us, whatever. But we still get out there and, we have a very structured, activities that we do all throughout the year for our farms.
Well, when I was door knocking in my day, you would get 60% of the people home, maybe more. Yeah. I could go out and knock on 30, 40 doors and talk to 20, 30 people. I can't do that now.
Not the same, yeah.
So you have to find a different way to connect.
Yeah.
You can take signs, at the ring.
Yeah, I do.
Ring thing. Hi, I'm Roger.
I wave at every ring that, if we drop a flyer.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Yes.
Yeah, it is different now. You're right.
Tell me about how you evaluate personal service.
Oh.
What does personal service mean to you guys? I mean,
it's everything. I mean, I think that customer service in any business is just absolutely key. And the second you give that, everything else becomes easier.
Right.
Because people want to be treated well. I mean, when we go to a restaurant, we want to be treated like I know the best waiter is the waiter that comes over,
right.
Just your friend does everything for you, and
can tell you the ingredients in the food.
Yeah, know their stuff.
How it's prepared.
Yeah. Customer service is
He's
everything.
Hyperlocal, that guy.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of there's a lot of good people out there, but there's a lot of people that take advantage of it and don't really put themselves out there and really care for the people they're dealing with.
Right.
Yeah. It's everything to us.
So what does it look like?
Oh gosh, it's really, really close communication. It's constantly pivoting when something's not working. Like we're heavily listing agents, and so for us, it's a constant. I would say a constant evaluation of what's happening with that transaction. What's, again, communication, evaluation, and giving it the attention it deserves.
A lot of updates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And also also being extremely creative. And I was going to say earlier that that's one of the things that we offer to our clients, to our sellers, is that creativity, whether it's with video, whether it's staging. We stage a lot of our listings ourselves. And so it's more of that personal touch and that personal attention that I think everybody deserves. And we don't care if it's a condo or if it's a, $20 million home, we're still going to get the same service, because everybody you're dealing, and I say this all the time to the agents, it's like you're dealing with people's biggest assets. To them, it doesn't matter if again, if it's a $200,000 listing, that's their investment, and we're here to help them with that.
And I have another saying, a bunch of them, but one of them is surprise equals upset. And so how do you I mean, I found that most people don't really know what's coming.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time trying to sort of precondition them to here's what to expect.
We love dealing with new homeowners, new buyers, because they don't know what's coming. They know nothing, and we've been through it. Of course, we've bought homes ourselves, and we respect it every single time. So when we get to help them through the process, it's so exciting. Yeah, because we know they're excited, and we could easily ruin their situation, ruin their experience, right? Yeah. So we have to be very careful, educational, and just helpful. Well, and it's a wonderful time.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think also where he's getting at is the structure and the systems that we have in place that we have created.
Exactly. You're the ops guy. You should be able to explain this.
Yeah.
We have
Why are you relying on her right now?
Well, I didn't understand that question.
Right.
Yeah. So we put a lot of effort into systems. I come from ops, like you said.
Yeah.
I believe in a great CRM. There's a lot of new systems in AI and things like that. And as you put it together, it all starts working together and does the work for you in a way if you put the effort into it, right? A CRM is only as good as you spend the time on it.
Right.
So we put together a nice stack of software for our agents, which is a value add to them. So when they walk in, they can drop names. If they use the system correctly, the system's going to tell them who to call, tell them when to call them.
What system you use?
We use Follow Up Boss.
Follow Up Boss.
Yeah, I believe it's one of the best. I've dealt with CRMs for Salesforce and a million others for decades, right?
Right.
Follow Up Boss has been amazing. It's perfect for real estate. It's built for real estate, but it's just easy to manage, easy to see. I call it the one page. You pull a contact up on the phone, and all the information's right there.
Right.
I made it so you can put a gate code there. You can you're never having to look for information if you use it correctly.
Well, also the templates, like we've created, like we want our agents to have, and for ourselves as well. Like when we open an escrow, we want to make sure that we can open it quickly and move on to the next task. So
nothing falls between the cracks.
Right. So we've templated a lot of stuff within Follow Up Boss. So when our agents open an escrow, all the letters are in place. They know exactly who to add to that email so that everything goes out to everybody it needs to, and then pass the torch off. Now you guys handle, what you need to handle. So that's been a big part.
No one gets back to us and says, hey, can you give me this information too?
Right.
And if they do, guess what? That template changes like right now.
Right.
Because I want to make sure they have everything within the first 5 minutes of opening an escrow.
Perfect is about the time they're wondering about it, it arrives.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
He was reading my brain.
You gotta think before they do.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, we set that up so the agents can go to work. And honestly, I want a system so that and talk about systems, procedures. And when we list a home, we have a checklist that just gets automatically set up by we have virtual assistants.
Right.
Wonderful girl was working with us, and there's 100 things that need to be done. We've been doing this for a long time. We forget things.
Right.
So now 100 things don't get forgotten.
It's a checklist.
And we use Asana and Slack. So we have a lot of software that takes some.
Yeah. And when they get into that checklist, they can now say, okay, just listed this house and 100 things are happening while they're getting on the phone to the next call.
Right.
And I want them to be able to sell homes and have the support, which is just as equal, the software support, but the personal support and procedural support.
So let's talk about the teams for a second. Are you building a team that supports your marketing effort? Or are you building a team, I call it an office within an office, where they're on their own and you're just managing them as salespeople? Or what's
we do a lot of training. I mentioned before, we have a lot of green agents, more first time. And so we take great pride in getting them up to speed and teaching them.
Are they counting
the
on you for your lead generation?
I've never been big about lead generation. I've been more about training them to become lead generators themselves.
We teach them how to be listing agents. That's why we do a lot of farming, and then that's why we do a lot of rapport building and teaching them how to attract their own clientele so that they're not doing this.
Got it.
So we do give them leads, but not like probably some teams do. Again, we make it very clear when they join the team, or if they want to join the team, that we're more about teaching them how to get their own business, because we don't want them to we want them to flourish, and we want them to grow, and we want them to, grow into themselves. And maybe we hope they don't leave, but also at the same time, we support if they grow into a place where they don't need us anymore.
Right. Yeah, and so her farming procedure is just as strong as any other procedure. I mean, she sets up a calendar for these people, and if they can follow that, they're going to get business.
Right.
It's proven.
So you're literally grooming people to be agents, and you share it with them like you were their broker.
Yeah.
In a way. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you have others probably who are dedicated entirely to supporting your sales effort, I'm guessing.
We have employees.
We need it more.
Yeah.
Buyer's agents or listing assistants or things like that. We're delegating more these days.
We're teaching Chris how to delegate.
Yeah. And you.
And I once I learned delegation, I was like, oh, okay.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So, but we were finally at that point in our career where we're like, okay, hey, I'd really like to bring on this agent onto this listing, because, or now have a buyer's agent, or people that are taking the buyers, out and stuff like that. Cause we just honestly don't. We're so focused on, ourselves lead generating that we know where our time is, but we're learning where our time is best spent.
Yeah.
So I think what you guys are doing is interesting right now, because, with this commission change, the lawsuit and all the stuff that you're going through.
Yep.
which, by the way, let me take 1 second to say, NAR, you failed everybody. Okay, get that off my chest now.
Good job.
I'm okay. But there is this one other element now to marketing a listing, right? And that is that how are you going to tell people that the seller wants to pay you to come bring a buyer?
Yep.
Used to, you put it in MLS, right? You guys have put together a communication platform.
Mhm.
You don't have to tweak it a lot.
No.
I think in a listing presentation, your ability to communicate that now is a huge thing. I mean, it's probably as good as the flyers you make or the videos you do.
Yeah,
Mr. Seller, we can do this to make sure that everybody knows about you.
I think we got on top of it pretty quick.
We did. Well, I remember the very first listing appointment we had, and it was like in every single listing appointment after that, it's never not come up.
We got
really
hit up. We got hit by a major client of ours 2 days before the NAR drop, and said, "Hey, I don't want to pay commissions." And I said, "I don't want you to pay them. You're my client. Why would I want you to pay more money?"
Right.
Except today, you may have to. And it's evolved over time, but it started nice. It gave us a confidence right in the beginning to be able to speak to anybody about it. And I think we're pretty tight on it.
Yeah, I think we just to really summarize it, we say that it's part of your marketing.
Yeah.
And you're really not going to expose yourself to the right.
Right. The difference is you used to pay me, say 5%.
Right.
And then I took that 5% you gave me and gave it to them.
Yes.
They just want to see it come directly through you and not through me now.
Right.
That's what it really boils down to, right?
Yeah. I love all the different ways people are explaining it. I mean, in the right ways.
Yeah, it's going to be
a good one.
Interesting. The buyer side is going to be interesting.
Yes.
What's your experience with that right now? People uncomfortable with that?
I really haven't.
It's interesting. We haven't dealt with a lot of buyers, but when we do, I always say even with our team, I tell them, don't get it signed today. You got to build rapport and build value first.
Right.
And then a lot of times you're going to show homes and you should have it. I mean, we should have had, our coach was telling us we should have had it 20 years ago. Right.
Right.
I don't think it's any different. They say it's the rule, but nobody's policing it. And I believe that you got to get it when you get it.
Yeah.
Right. You got to build that trust with that client, and it may be on the second showing.
Right.
It may be when you're writing an offer. But figure out what that is. Try to get it as early as possible. But because it is nice to get that loyalty.
Yeah, I think if people in real estate are thinking you can skip the get them to like me part, or get them to trust me part, they're really missing something big, especially now, because that really means if you don't trust me, you don't value me,
right?
And we know what that's going to do to your pocketbook.
That's the plus side of it, really. I mean, how many times have all of us spent, worthless hours working for somebody, and then they, either disappear or buy with somebody else.
And it'll still happen. I don't think this is going to change anything. I think all the laws haven't changed much. Yes. They wanted more disclosure. Now there's less disclosure in a lot of ways. We're still paying, commissions, and now it's just harder work.
Yeah.
And
I'm just trying to figure out how to build a lottery around this. We could say, what is your guess today? Put $10 in, and then we'll see how it turns out in 2 years or 3 years. And see who was right.
Yeah, as I tell them, I say it's going to change next week. So, check in.
I think it's only hurting the industry as far as, what agents are getting paid. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people are saying that it'll probably wash out at somewhere about 2% for buyer's agents, and that's unfortunate.
And our job as a listing agent is to now negotiate the lowest commission towards the buyer, right? But now I feel terrible for buyer's agents because I want them to be paid right.
Right.
But I have to guess. I guess we have to look at it like it's their job to figure that out with their client.
I tell you what I do like about it, and I generally don't like it. I don't like that you're telling a seller that they can't publicly offer something through the. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Speech and free speech and all that stuff. It's like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
have I said it's ridiculous yet? Because I think it's ridiculous.
Well, that's one.
I really do.
Well, like you said, it's one of my lines with the team. Hey, if it comes down to it, just say, Nard made me do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and
throw them under the bus.
I'm voting for just get rid of Nard right now.
Yeah.
Or at least change their roles a little bit. But the idea that you have to produce some kind of value. Are you guys getting into a buyer presentation similar to what you would have done with a seller?
Yeah, this is the same contract as listing a home. Now you're listing your buyer.
Okay. And
It's
is this
crazy.
new? Or have you been doing that?
We have booklets that tell us
Yeah,
what we do. We need to improve them as far as the new commissions and such.
Yeah.
But we do.
We've created that, and we have talked about it.
Yeah, we do definitely show our values to the buyers as well. I mean, of course, you got to prove trust right away because you got to know the product, right?
Social media.
Socially.
That's how we really lean into that with social media, really creating that value. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you too about the video is that you, if you're producing this video to bring something back, like I would say the old days farming, if we send out something regularly, we never expected one mail piece to go out to produce anything.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the collective value of it all.
Correct.
And that's what you expect from video, I assume.
Same thing. It
get it out there.
Digital farming.
Right.
Yeah.
Get it out there and then let time
do its thing.
Yeah, let it do its thing.
I mean, I could count on, one hand, I think, the direct, people said, I want a video. Right. The rest of it's just branding. It's getting the face out there. It's getting the logo out there. It's getting things out there so that people remember you when something else comes up.
Right.
The first big listing we just got up in the Estates, he heard of us. And people are like, oh, I went to a doctor. Oh, I've heard of Holly and Chris. So that's really neat. And that's what social media does.
Right.
But where are they buying a house yet? But when they do, they're going to be like, hey, I remember that Holly and Chris people did that.
Yeah, so you see it less as a lead generator as much as a credibility builder.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find the customer
it's a blanket.
another way, maybe. I'll get something through this probably.
Yeah.
But when I find them, this is going to lay so much credibility on the...
Yeah, and it's staying top of mind.
Yeah, got it.
It's constant. I mean, it's a job. The social media aspect of it is a job. I mean, you know as well as any agent that you're wearing 6, 7, 8 hats at a time sometimes. It's just another layer.
People forget sometimes it's a brokerage business. Your value, initial value, is that you know something that the other person doesn't. Yeah. That's why I say it's an information management business. They got a buyer and I got a seller. They don't know each other.
Right.
And that's the job. Find those people. Sometimes people forget that they think, well, the job is only list the house or no, that's a small part of the job.
Yeah.
Right?
We're physicians.
So I have a question for you because I don't think she'll tell me the truth.
No.
And I got a sneaky suspicion I'm right here. Is she crazily competitive?
She would not say she is.
You would not say you're competitive?
She is. Yeah. And, once we're in the door, it's like that. Oh, God. Yeah. You hear it different when she's inside the door. Yeah. She's very competitive. I think that she wants to win in the right way, though, which is very exciting. It's
my why is big.
Yes. A big why.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what fires you up? See, there's a thing where people work really hard for all the things that they need. Yeah. And then they transition into working that hard for what they want. Mm-hmm. And that's a really difficult line for people. That. So, I tell people all the time, you got to figure out how, when you were working hard to keep from getting run over by the train, now that you're way ahead of the train, how do you keep running that fast? Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's, I found, is from people who have this inherent competitiveness. Yeah. I just had that sense that you were one of those people that don't want someone else to do more business than you. None of that?
Well, yeah.
Some of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for a long time, since I was separated, I relied on the survival. I was in survival mode. Yeah. And so that was
in front of the train.
Right. I was a huge driver. I mean, it was literally feeding my kids. That was where it started. I got to feed my kids. I have to put a roof over my kids. And I still feel like that. I feel like that still drives me. I don't know if that'll ever go away, but I also know that my work ethic is really, really strong. Mm-hmm. And so
is that work ethic from the habit you built when you were running from the train?
No, I've always had a strong work ethic. Yeah. Okay. And even my kids today have the same strong work ethic. So I think that helps me. I think that that's my strength. But I also think that maybe it's from, I feel like I'm in a therapy session. Maybe it's from that place of being here in LA and going, I know stuff, but nobody knows me. And now I need to prove myself. Right. there it is.
There
There
it
you
is.
go.
And it just came out right here.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I've
$500 an hour for this.
yeah.
Just so you know.
But it's so interesting because I feel like our business has really, really transitioned a lot just in the past year. And I think that came from being like, well, I can do what they can do. Well, I could list that house.
Right.
I could do it better than they could do it.
Yeah.
So maybe that is
Constantly.
No, there is.
and not in a sassy way.
No, I totally understand
But like
that.
I feel like I
Well, you both have
put in an
sports
effort.
orientation, sports background, it sounds like.
Mhm.
And you see it, not you so much, really?
No, I was a dancer.
Oh, you dancer?
Sports.
Well,
It's kind of a
let
smart.
me tell you,
Yeah,
That's
but,
I used to
big deal.
date a dancer, and
Oh.
she was a pretty competitive person.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
that's
They would
true.
look over there to the other dancer and go, yes, so, no, exactly. I know. But I have found that that's one thing that if, with all of you people that do well is there's some sense of, I can do this if you can do that.
Mhm.
It's a great way to think. It's a great way to think about just things in general.
Well, how about you? Because you
Me?
obviously you started at the same time I started at 19. So
No,
what was where did you come from with that?
a lot of the same
energy?
thing. A lot of I've got to feed myself,
Mhm.
right? And then once I got rolling and I started off doing pretty well, and then it was I went through an ego stage
Mm.
where it was really, I'm
Well,
just
you were
really
at-
good at this.
You were at that
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
The ego-
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ego
Get
age.
through
Yeah.
that. You go.
And then I started my company and I humbled up really fast. I mean,
yeah.
because I was a top producer at Coldwell Banker in Southern California. And I did that at 25 years old, I guess. Started my company at 25. And then I just thought, like every
I can
25-year-old,
do this.
you can do anything.
Oh,
and there's that.
man.
So it's sort of a whole new stage that you enter into, which is, oh my goodness, it was my ego got me into this company.
Yeah.
And now, I'm going to be very, very embarrassed if I don't start learning a whole lot of stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
running
it was
a business is different than.
Then I was scared to death, mainly.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't think people saw it so much, but I mean, it was. I mean, honestly, I was just afraid.
I can imagine.
It's-
I was
especially
afraid I would meet
25.
adults, who would
Yeah.
think that I was stupid or
Yeah.
something. And it was like,
You had to prove yourself.
Well,
I mean, just starting a team was like.
Yeah. Every
oh,
level of our business has been a new complexity that is scary.
yeah,
And then, we have like staging and property management, and we're doing other things as well.
Yeah.
And it's a huge.
and see
challenge.
what happens too with that is like I discovered that I had one office for 8 years, and so there's a rhythm that comes with that.
Mhm.
You don't, it becomes habitual.
Mhm.
Even if it's purposeful, it's consistent.
Yeah.
You got to be coming at it, and then all of a sudden, I end up opening some other offices. And I tell people, I've told a lot of people in my consulting, when you go to that second office, the whole world changes.
Mhm.
And what you don't think about is that the time you spent in your environment over here had value that you never really gave it the proper due.
Mhm.
I remember telling one of the guys that I was working with to help open an office. We got his first office open. He went to open a second. And I said, you'll never understand the value of walking by a copy machine at 10 o'clock in the morning and saying hi to Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never think of
Very
that as a business management thing, but it is.
Yeah.
And because you're not thinking about it, you don't realize that had value to say, hi, Mary. The problem is when you open the second office, Mary misses you not saying hi
Yeah.
to her.
Mhm.
And so the mechanics, and it's a time challenge.
Yeah.
But the dynamic changes at the bottom line.
Mhm.
Right.
And you do. It's every stage through selling, through doing 10 deals a year to doing 30 deals a year to doing
Mhm.
100 deals a year. At every stage, there's a learning curve
Oh,
Right.
boy. Yeah.
because the dynamics do change.
Yeah, we're thankful to have great support we coach with Tom Ferry, and we have a wonderful coach for that. And we just it's interesting because when we first went, it was like a fire hose of information. And
Right.
so then we decided to take a couple things home and get really good at it. And then it became like, oh, we heard this before. But
Right.
now we're back. Now I'm back at actually watching it and going, wait a second. Okay. I see this now, and I can really, yeah, it's an interesting path
Yeah.
of coaching, but the coaching has been tremendous for us. And,
Yeah.
to have somebody look at what we're doing and kind of give us insight is so important.
Also,
It really is.
just having a good place to land has been huge for us too.
Mhm.
Just
Well,
a support system behind us that
Oh, yeah.
at Cold Banker.
Just sometimes, just for clarity, just to bounce things off of people. You're in your forest, and sometimes it's you just need someone that's looking from the outside and going, put your shoes on, do something.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about it.
Definitely.
Okay, tell me, what would you? Before, I want to talk about this first. I know you both are involved with some charity stuff. Is that part of your? Am I right?
Yeah.
I read domestic.
Not
violence
enough
stuff
lately,
and,
but
and some veteran
well,
stuff.
one of the things I love about her is what she came from and what she built from it. Because I do believe in it. We've both done Habitat and helped people, find homes. I worked with veterans for years.
Yeah.
We've been so focused on building so that we could have the time and money to give more.
Right.
But talk about what you've done before I do.
Oh, well.
I don't need a lot of deep background.
No.
You've done amazing things.
I think we have been in, like, I hate using this word, but like really hyper focused grind mode of like building the business, building the team. And so my goal is to free up some time where I can actually share my story on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my goal. And even if it's just on the platform of encouraging other agents, because that's something that has been put in my path a lot, just on one-on-ones, and people know enough about me. I post enough that people know that I've been through something me and my kids have been through something that's very difficult, but that you can achieve, come out of something difficult and have success.
Right.
And so that's my kind of my one of my whys, but my hope is to be able to like share that on a bigger platform. So when I first became single and was going through it, I did start like a support page on Facebook, and I want to continue to do that. So
Right.
I'm not like at the place, or I'm happy with it yet. Both of us.
We're short of starting 501c3s or anything like that, but we help where we can. And truly.
Yeah.
We help where we can. And, we just believe in helping children and helping, people that are building their lives.
Yeah.
I think that from children to new agents to, it's really neat to see someone grow.
Yeah. I think right now, personally, it's just like more on a personal level with people that come into our lives, like our team members, seeing them struggle with something and being able to.
I can honestly say to you that I really feel like the things that you do for people, like we talked about doing the show, I don't know if anybody's going to watch, and I don't know if those who do, how many will listen, but someone's going to listen.
Yeah.
And when they do, their life changes. And I've had people come back and make comments about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's so much better than money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can never lose it.
Exactly.
You can never lose what you've done.
Yeah.
And help. So it's.
Yeah, we just closed escrow on a house that I was working with the gal for 4 years, from the time she had originally called us until we actually got to put the house on the market. It was 4 years, but she was going through what I had been through.
Right.
And so just staying constant with her. And so for me, it's like, okay, I'm doing more of like, the more quiet, like nobody knows about it.
Right.
But I love that God puts those people in my path that I can help them, because I do have a different set of eyes and a different, a different compassion.
That's the thing. I think another thing I've noticed with the top producers, particularly those that I've had on the show here, is that there is some sense of the role is more than a real estate agent.
Absolutely.
Right.
I love that
Right.
you've found that as well.
Yeah, people have a sense of giving, that there's a support mechanism here. It's not just sell a house, not find a house.
No.
That can happen sometimes, but the big producers that seem like they end up having this whole empathetic kind of level of understanding with people. I think women are actually better at it than men.
I literally was just talking to an agent about it today at our open house. I said, the women, we tend to be more, on the caring, like loving side. And I was just talking to her about it today, and like saying how we lose sleep at night sometimes because, we have a client who, their house isn't selling, or, they're having a difficult time in that transaction. So it's for us as women, it's like, it's very difficult.
I had an agent years ago, who, and then I only have one more question, but I had an agent years ago that 30 years ago, I called them up in the middle of the night. It was a woman. It was probably 3:00 in the morning. And I called, I'm embarrassed to say it actually, but I called them up and they woke up, answered the phone, and she's laying in bed next to her husband, who's wondering why I'm calling her at 3:00 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And she says, what are you calling me for? And I go, are you sleeping? And she said, yes, I was sleeping until you called. Why are you calling me? And I says, because I'm not sleeping. And she says, well, why aren't you sleeping? And I says, you are the reason I'm not sleeping, because I'm wondering why I'm worried more about you than you seem to be about you. And she hung up the phone on me.
Like, listen here, pal.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it was true. I mean, it's really honestly how I felt.
Okay,
because I came in the next day and she came up and she apologized. And then we sat down, we had a big, long discussion about it. And I go, you got to understand how this makes me feel when I see you hurt. And it's true.
It is.
It's true. It's a guy, fix this. Because your instinct is go solve the problem.
Exactly.
I know that.
Yeah.
I can see that in you.
Yeah.
I got a problem, fix it.
Yeah.
Don't let this thing drag out. We don't need to take 10 years to do it, get it done.
Right. We carry it with us until that problem is resolved.
Yeah.
And it's like, once the problem's resolved or the escrow's closed, it's like.
And you'll see this with your agents now, right?
Yeah.
You go, come on now.
Now it's our agents that we worry about.
Yeah, we worry about them, our clients. Everyone we've worked with has always become close to us. And it's like we care so much that they become almost friends. And it sucks that when the deal's done, in a sense, we get separated in a lot of ways.
Right.
But we made some great friends.
It's one of the best parts of the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
You're right.
Okay, so I'm going to finish with one. And I thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's really appreciated. But tell me what you tell someone that's brand new right now. You have 20 years in the business, a lot of experience, a lot of good things and bad things, mistakes.
Thank you for saying I'm younger than I am. My birthday's on Friday, so.
Oh. Yeah, I'm
only 20. So,
I don't talk about
40.
birthdays either.
No.
I got long past that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to start? You want to
Huh.
go?
I'm the salesperson for real estate. I love what I do. I love doing it with her. I love everything about it. I love everything. So when I start speaking to them, I really wow them and they really want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm also the one that steps right back and says, but if you really want to make money at it, it is one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do. Because I think that the average realtor doesn't make very much and the average realtor isn't working very hard. And to become top 5%, top 1%, it's not a 9 to 5. It's a lot of work. And I don't think a lot of people have it to do it. I mean, it's not easy.
So what's the first thing you want me to do?
First thing is you sit down and start learning. I always tell people, you watch TV for an hour a day? Great. Cut it to half. Don't cut your life out. Take that half, start watching podcasts, watching Tom Ferry, watch all the coaches, the marketing, learn something, figure out what's good for you, but then set a plan. And the nice thing is we sit down with our agents and set a business plan.
Yeah.
We go over goals and really, hopefully, get them to visualize it like we do. Because when we started putting a business plan together was when we started growing. And looking back at each year, it's amazing how it's changed.
Right.
And how we've just written it more eloquently and have a bigger, better plan.
You get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Flow is right.
So yeah, plan and get ready for a big ride. Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. And brand. We teach them how to brand themselves. That's the first thing. I mean, there's just, gosh, that's such a big question.
We can go forever.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
What do you say?
Well, I believe that if you're going to be a big producer, you have to start with appreciating the value of time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And to your point, is consistency and time.
Yeah.
And so, but as you do more, you still only have 24 hours.
Yep.
And you got to just squeeze more and more and more. And I take Stephanie Vitaco, who does 200 deals a year. She doesn't have 200 more hours a day to work with than the person who's doing one, a year. So I think it's that. And then the second thing is once you understand that it's all about managing your activities within a allotted amount of time, then it gets the plan.
Yeah.
You got to have a plan.
One of the exercises.
And then it's build relationships and let that number grow.
One of the next exercises we're going to do with our team is the 168 hours. There's 168 hours in a week.
Oh, okay.
Book them like you're getting paid for each half hour.
Yep.
And you'll find you have way more time to really to spend time focusing on what you want to be.
Well, what happens is once you have set some numbers up, then it it forces you to start working and getting creative within those constraints.
Yeah.
Right. If I've got 15 minutes to get from here to Woodland Hills is different than if I have 2 hours and I might take the scenic tour, So as you get less and less time, that's when the creativity really starts to kick in.
Yep.
But same job, I still have to get to know a lot of people. They got to trust me, and I got to learn, the technical part of the business and so forth.
Yeah.
So, Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very,
This
very
was
much.
fun.
People are going to enjoy watching you too, I know. And then how do we find you on YouTube or the podcast? Is it
It's Holly and Chris Luxury Homes.
That's our website. We have Holly and Chris Films, which is our YouTube. Basically, it goes right to everything we've ever done, and then Holly Hatch Sells.
Holly Hatch Sells.
Hatch Sells.
Instagram handle and Holly and Chris.
Those are the best. CJ SoCal Estates with a little underscore and for SoCal Estates.
Nobody.
I just say watch.
You'll find us. You'll find us
show,
somewhere. Search Holly and Chris.
Yeah, anybody watching this, go find these things because I've been around it a lot and I've really enjoyed watching them. So
Thank
congratulations
you.
to both of you.
Thank you so much.
And
Thanks
again.
for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay.